Banner, physician, scientist, searching for a way to tap into the hidden strengths that all humans have. Then an accidental overdose of gamma radiation alters his body chemistry.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Follow me on social media if you'd like. I just like to post my drawings in there. No politics, no opinions, no nothing. Just my drawings. I've also got links to the Marvel database slash wiki site slash fan site, and I've got these stories in there so you can look at the plot and who these characters are. So what's happening here is John Byrne had a very short run in Hulk. 6 issues plus an issue of Marvel Fanfare, and we're going to cover all of it. We're going to try to do it in one sitting as quick as possible with me kind of giving you a little bit of the story, sort of what's going on. So he was in Alpha Flight and decided he either was bored or just did everything he thought he could, and it went and did the Hulk where Mike Mignola was, and so they swapped. And Mignola was actually not very happy because he liked doing the Hulk. He didn't care for doing Alpha Flight. So we're gonna start here with 314, and then we'll go through 319, and then do the issue of Marvel Fanfare. But here we got this great cover here. We got the Leader, the Rhino, the Juggernaut, the Abomination, and I think MODOK. So, and then this is from 1985. So here we go. So we start out with our splash page. I don't believe John Byrne inked it, and yep, here he is. Bob Wyacek does the inking with John Byrne doing the pencils. Now, he does eventually ink, I believe, the final issue with Marvel Fanfare. That's really my favorite John Byrne. So this Hulk is mindless. Banner and him were separated, and this Buck decides to attack the Hulk, but Hulk punches it, which of course kills the little Bambi here. So, and yep, that was a quick fight. And so he leaves. And so here comes this ship here. So John Byrne writes the annual, but we're not going to cover this annual. Sal Buscema did the annual here. So this is telling you, because during this time the annual was out there. So there's a flying saucer chasing the Hulk, and it says here, hey, you'll find the details in this Hulk annual. So I just want to let you know that we're not going to do the annual, even though John Byrne does write it. We're just going to concentrate on his main Hulk run. And if you'd like to, you can, in that Marvel database, you can look at the plot. So this is Chicago, and Leonard Samson's been called in, and he was grading papers. I think he's a teacher here. So the Hulk and, like I said, the Hulk and Banner, I believe, are separated, or maybe not yet. I'm trying to remember. We'll find out. So, like I said, he's telling him that the Hulk is back, and Samson's gonna go deal with it. John Byrne's style is so, I really like it. I enjoy John Byrne. The details that he puts in, I've got his run on Captain America. He also had a very short run, and I have it also available if you want to look through it. I've covered John Byrne's Captain America run. So Samson says, "Hey, who's got the radio?" And he listens for the Hulk and asks for a map. Back then, there was no Google Maps, so he actually had to have maps. And so he looks at it, and off he goes. So, so this guy here is gonna make a it's gonna reappear in Todd McFarlane's um run with Peter David here, and then this is Betty Ross, Betty Banner, and so he asks Ramon here says, "Is if something's wrong, baby?" And of course she snaps at him, says, "Don't call me that. I have a name." And he's like, "Hey, what's up with that?" And she apologizes, says she feels like there's something going on. Then here's the report of the Hulk, and she knew that that's what it had to be. That was causing her to go kind of crazy. So here, Samson has changed into his costume and is looking for where the Hulk was. Now, I really do enjoy this costume. Um, it is very 80s or probably very 70s, but I really like it here. So, um, this is the gamma bomb that had turned Bruce Banner into the Hulk, and now we're gonna kind of go into a little bit of his origin and him saving Rick Jones, only to catch the blast himself and end up becoming the Hulk instead. So the Hulk shows up, and so of course Leonard Samson mentions Bruce Banner, and of course he says Banner, which of course angers him, and says Hulk is not Banner. So I don't think they're separated yet. So that think that's gonna come later. I have not seen these in forever, so you'll have to forgive me. So Samson and Hulk are going to fight back. I love, I think the Hulk is such a larger than life character. I really love when he makes everyone look tiny around him. So suddenly here's the Juggernaut. So something's kind of going on because the Juggernaut just kind of shows up out of nowhere. And he goes to attack the Hulk. The Hulk punches at him. And now MODOK appears. Something's kind of up. So, um, Samson's making a log, but Samson says there's no one there. But the Hulk sees everyone. So, the Hulk is apparently fighting, but he's fighting no one. So, and Leonard Samson assumes that it's Banner inside him trying to confuse the Hulk, trying to do something. So the Hulk figures it out and decides that it's all a trick, and assumes that Samson is also not real. So Samson says, "Oh, I'm glad you think that," and then just punches him as hard as he can. Love the use of the splash page. He says, "I hit him. He hit him so hard he broke his hand," and so now they're gonna try and save him. So, all right. So this concludes the first issue, and we'll go right to the next one. So now here we are in 315. So these short issues by Byrne, or short really, because it's 7 issues total. He really packed a lot. It's quite a cool story. Uh, so here we start with the Hulk seemingly imprisoned. Here he is that you can't hold Hulk. Hulk is stronger. So John Byrne sort of inks, but he is having an assistant. So chances are they're probably doing the backgrounds, and John Byrne is concentrating on the foreground, is what I would imagine. So anytime you see inking assistants, uh, that's most likely what it means. So um, here we have Hulk and Bruce Banner. Banner's got him imprisoned. Says you're finally caged, you can't get out. Hulk is like, I'm gonna get out. So yeah, just a little back and forth, but he breaks this, and out comes the Hulk. This is a great panel right here. Absolutely amazing. Um, I should try to recreate this panel somehow because that it just looks awesome, very badass. And so Hulk tries to smash Banner, and so he sees daylight. Bruce Banner's gonna try to escape. Hulk tells him that he can't escape, parts the mountain, and catches Bruce Banner. Banner yells. Hulk's gonna crush him. And here we say, Hulk is you, your own dark thoughts, your anger, your rage. And so now Banner disappears. He's over here. You can kind of tell what's going on. Um, and so Hulk launches at Bruce, but then Bruce disappears, and now he's even farther. And so Hulk is going to keep rushing him, but he can't catch him no matter what. Hulk can't catch Bruce. So we turns out that they're being separated, and Samson's like, get him out, get him out. So they're inside this solution here that is getting them out. Again, I admire John Byrne's. This is the Kirbyism that people like so much that John Byrne does. Look, just other people may not even do this. Look at this. John Byrne draws the entire thing. That is very cool. Um, it's admirable. Even here, he doesn't skimp on background. Here's a reporter kind of saying all the stuff that's happening. So Samson basically saying they're splitting off the mind and body of Bruce Banner and that of the Hulk. And then it goes through a lot of stuff. Feel free, like I said, in the description below is a link to the Marvel database slash fan site slash wiki that has the plot to the story, and you can just kind of go along, and because it is a lot. I just don't want, I'm covering all 7 issues and I'm trying to avoid an hour-long video. So feel free to go in there. And here they're pulling Banner out. And so I don't know if this is a real word, electroencephalo. I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, but I think so. EEG, yeah, that's real. So, all right, so there he is, and so Samson says he's weak. He's gone through a lot. It's probably more traumatic than being born. She asks about the Hulk, and he says the Hulk is a blank slate. No memory, no personality, no nothing. So basically the Hulk is a clean slate that he hopes to be developed like a child would be, and then, in time he might be able to be a functioning person. And so there's someone here saying, hold it. And it's Clay Quartermine. He is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're here to take over the Hulk. Um, I like the part here. He says, this doesn't involve S.H.I.E.L.D. And Clay Quartermain is like, everything involves S.H.I.E.L.D. Clay Quartermain's going to be when Peter David takes over, and with Peter David and Todd McFarlane's run, Quartermain will be a big character until the Mr. Fix-It arc, and then it kind of just goes into its own thing. But Clay Quartermain will remain a main character from now up until the end of the McFarlane run with Peter David. So they're basically there to take the Hulk, like I said, to make sure he doesn't endanger the population. So the reporter is leaving, and Quartermain says that this now is a S.H.I.E.L.D. installation and it's top secret. And she says, well, they've been going live. And he says, sorry, they've been scrambling the transmission for more than an hour. So nothing that she, nothing went through. She says, they can't do that. He says, S.H.I.E.L.D. can do whatever it wants. There's no such thing as freedom of press, and that they will do whatever it can to protect the American citizens. And they're going to hold the reporters for a while, and they're going to be escorted to their new lodgings. So she's complaining, but. So, and now here they are inside their cell. So the reporter's name is Diane, and she's saying, I can't believe that no one is from the station is even asking about them. And they're like, probably ran a rerun or something. Anyway, Dr. Sampson comes through and wants to talk to her. He still has some freedom, but not too much. He's saying Banner's still in a coma, and the Hulk, it looks like they're gonna dispose of him, meaning kill him. And he goes through some kind of moral thing, whether they should let him kill the Hulk or not, but he decided he's going to go and rescue the Hulk. So Clay is going into Doc Samson's quarters. Doc Samson has escaped. They asked him, I thought you had somebody here. And they go, well, we were outside. We didn't think he needed to be, someone needed to be inside with him. Quarterman says he's as strong as the Hulk, and he could be miles away. So here's the transport, of course. And from underneath comes Dr. Sampson's hands, and he hangs on to the vehicle and goes in, and here's the Hulk. They have him in some neuro neutralizer. So, and he's gonna see if he can let him loose, but realizes that there's no driver. It's being remote controlled. So they think that it's in one of the helicopters. So he says, good, no need to be subtle because there's no one that can get hurt. And so here you see here that I've lost control as Doc Samson is taking the truck out. And they crash. Then explodes. But of course they can't be killed. But here's them saying no one could survive that. So I like this because it's more closer to the John Byrne. I really do like John Byrne's inking. I really do like my favorite version of John Byrne is this era, and I love it when he inks himself. So, and here comes the Hulk. and he grabs this whatever from the truck, throws it at the helicopter and hits it, and they're attacking him. He's just going his rah because he can't, doesn't have any no brains at all, and so Samson says he was wrong. Samson realizes that even without Banner's without Banner, the Hulk is still undiluted rage, always angry, and all this death and destruction is his fault. And this time, Samson says that he's gonna find him once again, and this time he's going to kill him. Like I said, I love this version of John Byrne where he inks himself. You can definitely see it's a little bit more raw, a little bit more messier. I like it. So we have an epilogue here, and a radio or TV, no, radio, where it says that the Hulk was responsible for everything that happened today, and someone walks in here. We know it's Betty, and she says, "I was told Bruce Banner is here." The nurse says, "Yep," and they don't know how he's here since the Hulk is on the loose, but that he isn't allowed any visitors. And they said Miss Ross, his name is Betty Ross, which we all know is his wife or love interest. So, thus we end our issue. And so now we get to 316 here, and here on the cover, you see Iron Man wearing his Silver Centurion, I believe, armor, which I have a very soft spot for. I really do enjoy this armor. I think he had it for maybe a year or two. Nah, he had it more than it, about 2 years. So we got Hercules, Wonder Man, and then the Submariner. So, in here we have the Hulk without Bruce Banner, and then of course Bruce Banner. So a great cover by Byrne. So here comes She-Hulk wondering where Bruce is. So she wants to know, or she'll put everybody in the hospital. Again, John Byrne is doing the figure work, and then this Keith Williams is doing the background inking. So when you see She-Hulk, that's all probably Byrne, and then he's probably doing this guy here, but everything else is being done by this Keith Williams. So the doctor calls out She-Hulk, and so he wants to know who the doctor wanted to know who she is, and she says Jennifer Walters, Bruce Banner's cousin. She says she got a message that he was there. He's like, I didn't authorize any message, and of course it was Betty who sent it. So it's the first time, apparently, that She-Hulk meets her. It's a thrill to see John Byrne drawing She-Hulk, because he's got a soft spot for her, and I truly enjoy. John Byrne had a very nice run on She-Hulk. He actually had 2 runs. He had a short run, about 8 issues, and because then he left She-Hulk to and then so he left She-Hulk, but then he came back to She-Hulk. So Betty basically says Bruce isn't doing well, and you're his only family, and decision, she might have some decisions to make. And so that reporter, Diane, is reporting on the Hulk, who's causing quite the ruckus. I truly like. One of the things I truly enjoy about John Byrne, I also have his short Captain America run, as I've mentioned before, that he He draws backgrounds. I mean, he really lets you know that things where things are. It's very cool to see someone that actually puts the work to show backgrounds, because you just don't see that anymore. And basically, she's narrating some of the stuff that has happened in the past. So now comes the Avengers here, or some of them, but I really enjoy the Silver Centurion. Um, so off they go to fight the Hulk. I truly like it when John Byrne inks himself, and I understand that there's a guy working on the backgrounds. But in the figure, man, oh man, that just looks really good because you focus on the figure. It's not like you spend your time analyzing the background to make sure that it looks like you concentrate on the figure. So Iron Man is fighting the Hulk using his repulsor rays. Um, and so the Hulk is gonna attack him. Now here comes Wonder Man. Love this. Um, always angry. So very cool fight between the teams. So trying to think of ways to stop him. Iron Man says they need to stop pulling their punches. That there's nothing human left in the Hulk. Um, this the big lip, the nose. When you see Todd McFarlane come, I've been working on those videos, and will be coming up after these. This totally looks like what McFarlane had in mind when he created the look of the Hulk, with the brow, the nose, the big lip, the short head. Um, he he totally took that from this. He may not have, but it just looks so much. So here comes the Hulk. So and he's not messing around either. Punches Wonder Man. Um, so this is not my favorite Wonder Man costume. His first costume is actually my favorite costume. So She-Hulk and the Doctor meet and wants to know what's basically going on here. They're gonna try basically an experimental uh, thing on him, this psychostimulation, to see if they can get him back out because his mind appears to shut down. So the doctor here says, this could fix him or it could make him worse. So it's up to basically She-Hulk to decide what they can do, because she's his family. So back to the Hulk. Then Hercules shows up. I do like this version of Hercules. I what can I say? I like the 80s comic books, and it's such a pleasure to get to show them to you guys. So my channel's not very big, but a few of you, kind of go in there. So I do this for fun. I do this in my spare time. It's just kind of fun to show people these comic books. I bought this run when I was in college. I didn't buy these, so here comes a Submariner to hit the Hulk. I did not buy these when they first came out, but ended up getting. I was in a big John Byrne kick in college. I had some of his stuff. I had his Namor, had Alpha Flight. I had some. I did not have the Fantastic Four. I had like a trade paperback. Um, had a Superman run, but I didn't have everything. And in college, I went back and pretty much have bought everything. Then, John Byrne is one of my favorites. He is in the top 10 for sure. Walter Simonson is probably One of my, I would say he's probably my favorite. Then Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee. So anyway, they're gonna try and finish him up. Somebody yells no, and Iron Man's like, "Who?" And then we, of course, now can't have the reveal yet, so we go to the next part. She-Hulk is all torn up. She says Bruce is more than just family. She's a friend, someone she loves, depend on. And then we go a little bit on her origin. I love this part, putting She-Hulk here because she's the one saying this. I really like that. They came, when he first met, and then the stuff. It's basically the origin of She-Hulk #1. And so now she has to make a decision, and she just doesn't know what to say. But then we now see the new Doc Samson with his new costume. I love his old costume. That's all right. In the 80s, we do the same thing we do today. We update them for the times. So here comes Doc Samson. So he starts fighting with the Avengers, and now the Avengers are trying to get him off. Iron Man says, he knows this Doc Samson, but he wonders why he's fighting them, and so he says, "Doesn't matter. He hit me," and so Namor and Iron Man are gonna fight Samson, while Hercules continues fighting the Hulk. So off they go, and here we see the other fight. And so Hulk is a little bit weaker. So everybody now is fighting Doc Samson, and they're like, Doc Samson basically says it's his responsibility. He wants to be the one to take care of him. So they're telling him to back off. He's only a fraction of the strong, and all the other 6 should just handle the Hulk. And he says, "Take a look around. Who's best suited to stop the Hulk?" And you can see the town has just been demolished. So he says it has to be him because all of them together are just gonna destroy the entire state. So it has to just be him to be able to get the Hulk. They need to butt out to prevent more damage. He tells them he's the one that freed the Hulk, and so he needs to, do it. And Iron Man basically says, "All right, we're going to be watching, and if you don't deal with this, the Avengers will be back in full force." So at the hospital, the doctor says he made the right decision, really the only decision. She says she hopes so. And so you're freeing him from this. So we don't know at this time what she's done. And so Betty's like, "You decided." And then that she signed all the necessary papers, that they're going to go ahead with the test. And so they asked if they need to leave. He says that won't be necessary. The procedure is just an injection of this thing, and that they feed it into the tube. And so the doctor says the real fight is going to be inside his brain, and then basically he's having a mental fight. And so they're all kind of encouraging him in some sort of way. The doctor, a little selfishly, because he says, "We're both in jeopardy today. Don't destroy both of us." So, because he's the one that went out on a limb. So, and so we see like a convulsion, and Betty is at his side, asking him to speak, and then he says the name Betty, and then they're like, "Oh, he's okay. You did it." Yep. And so it seems like he'll have a chance now at a normal life. So thus ends this issue. So now here we go to Hulk 317. Pretty simple cover, but I enjoy it. I have to say I like it. All right. So we start out with Bruce calling out some people, but we can't see him. Again, like always, John Byrne is doing the figure art, and Keith William is doing the background inking. So here, because this is a figure, this is all John Byrne here. I'll keep saying it as always that this is probably my favorite era of John Byrne. So he's sitting on sort of like Professor X or future Professor X in this like futuristic little chair, kind of like a float. I don't know what this is, but it just kind of looks cool. I don't think it's a wheel. So what the Hulk, or sorry, what Bruce Banner is done here is he is going to be um choosing these people to be the new Hulkbusters. So basically we kind of introduced everybody here. Um like I mentioned before, there's a link to the Marvel fans page, and you can get plot synopsis on who all these people are. But Craig Saunders, Carolyn Parmenter, Samuel Larroquette, Armand Martel, and Hideki Takada. So, and then of course we have Bruce Banner here. So, and then it kind of tells you who everybody is and what they did. So, but we're just kind of go along with it. But feel free to check out the database, and it's got a link in the description below. So they're wondering, why he wants, the Hulk and to destroy the Hulk, and she asks, "Aren't you the Hulk?" And then of course Larquette says that he saw that they're separated. She says she hasn't heard of it and she's not gonna help him commit suicide, and he tells them that nope, that he is free of the Hulk. Dr. Martel asks if isn't that a little extreme. He says that because of him that the Hulk exists. So, and we go again, a little bit of the origin, but he's basically the Hulk has done too much damage and he must be destroyed. And in comes his wife, Betty Banner. I apologize. I keep saying wife. They're not married yet. They will be, but they're not quite married yet. So it's Betty Ross, not Betty Banner. Of course, this is the daughter of Thunderbolt Ross. So she says, it's just like your dad. She says, nope, she's here for Bruce. She's not here, even though her dad used to be the person that ran the Hulkbusters. So Saunders asks why them. So Bruce explains that they're all experts in their fields. They're not afraid of personal risk or injury, and they're selected them to be the primary assault team, to be his Hulkbusters. Of course, they all refuse. They're all saying, "Why would we be in your? Why would they involve themselves in their own vendetta with the Hulk, or in his vendetta against the Hulk?" He says, "No reason except the fact that they don't have choice." He says, "They're all at the end of their tethers, meaning they've all done something in the past that basically has left them unemployable." So he says, if you don't work for me, you don't work for anyone. Essentially, he's got them all. So Doc Samson is still searching for the Hulk, and of course he says, "Oh, it's obvious the Hulk has come this way." He's still searching. So he's doing a lot of talking, basically just kind of recapping everything that's going on. And so, but it's kind of funny. He's talking into the recorder here, so it's really hard to see because here you can see him holding something, but you don't really see it. So it does look like he's talking to himself, but it isn't until that last panel that you can see he's talking into a little recorder. So of course that reporter has found him. He asks how he found him, and she says, "Well, following the trail of destruction, just like what he was doing." She says she has this gyrocopter that she used it, and she says it's 2 seats, and she offers him one of the seats. So he says you have to let him go. And so, or she has to let him go. He has to let her. My gosh, I cannot speak. Let her go with him, and he agreed, but the Hulk was underneath all that rubble. Kind of convenient, but hey. And so he pushes her out of the way and goes straight to fighting Hulk. When she starts recording, gotta have action in your comic books. So that was always a mandate. You can have a cool story, but you gotta have some action to go along with the, because that's what kids want. That's how you grab the kids, and then they would read as it goes. But the hook of these stories was the action. That was the hook. So Carolyn Parmenter's here to see Sam Larroquette here. So they kind of say that he's right. They've all been blacklisted in their own career path, so they have no choice but to stay there and do kind of what Bruce wants. So he asks, "What is it that they wanted to? What does she want to talk to him about?" Basically, she wants to know his opinion on Bruce Banner, and he says, "Well, he's been through a lot." Before I move on, I just want to the inking here. You know, it's kind of cool to just see a little bit, but um, it it's just, I don't know, this kind of stuff. When you look at the small details, you know, it's really cool because you normally just glance and you can see the whole composition. But I like to sometimes look at these little details and these little marks. Man, oh man. Um, I don't know. Sometimes I go, anybody can draw, but then you try to do this and you can't. It's just pretty cool sometimes to look at the marks. And John Byrne is so good at just creating backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. So the two of them basically have just kind of talk um, a little bit about, you know, their lives and how they've done. But you know, she um, embraces his hand, and now we go back to the Hulk. The lady's still reporting, and so the Hulk, of course, is mindless. So he is not paying attention to behind her. He only kind of goes by what's in front of him. And Samson comes out and punches Hulk. Cool fight here. So she's kind of just narrating the fight. And so now we go back to the Hulk base, kind of going back and forth between. So Bruce Wayne, I'm sorry. Bruce Banner is writing in a journal. So he's kind of putting his thoughts, a little bit of what's happening, and all that kind of stuff. So won't really bore you with this. So then we go back to the Hulk fight. You can see it's just amazing as Hulk is so strong. Hulk is really a cool character. It was really cool that Peter David was able to do more than everybody else. And I think John Byrne would have done probably something more, but he ended up leaving Marvel right after this. So um, he probably had a whole year's um, worth of stories. But anyway, so this Diane is getting trapped from all those, and he can't go after the Hulk because he has to try and rescue her. And so he digs and tries to get the rubble, and she's okay. She's alive. So um, the Hulk is gone, And so they're going to use the helicopter, but he's not going to take her. So he gives her a gentle push enough to knock her out because he's not going to be responsible for something bad happening to her, and takes the little copter away. It says the next time he sees the Hulk, it will be the last. So back at the Gamma base. So here these basically a lot of talking, but they all basically agree to become the new Hulkbusters. And on the last page, Bruce is stretching his legs. His legs are still weak. He's still weak from all that stuff, and ends up proposing to Betty. So we get to the end of this issue. So now we are going to do 318. The first thing that I want to show people is the Marvel 25th anniversary. So that year, they throughout the entire year, the logo had changed to include this part right here. So this is the first issue of Hulk with the Marvel 25th anniversary. And if everyone remembers, the culmination of those were those covers by John Romita with all the heroes on the side and on the bottom, and then the face. So it was pretty cool. So here we go with this great cover. Love Hulk kind of covered up. So let's see what's going on. So we are now at the Hulkbuster base in Nevada, I think it is, or it could be New Mexico. I don't remember. Does it say here? Southwest, so it must be in New Mexico here. And Betty is thinking about the proposal of Bruce. So she walks into the room. Real quick, love the marks that they did back then, just to give most likely cheekbones, but you just don't see a lot of these marks nowadays. And when she opens up, she is startled. What does she see? Well, she sees the Hulk rushing toward Bruce, and of course, that is what she yells. I also love the H, and with the kind of like Ghostbusters. So, and he goes back, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And of course, she's like, "The Hulk," and says it's not real because it's a hologram. So, he has been running some tests and decides to create a more docile image for Betty so as to not startle her anymore. And she asks what this word means. Cannot even say I can't even say it. Physiognomy. There we go. So that, of course, just means it's kind of how he looks, his features. And so then he brings up how he looks now, but how he first appeared and how much he has changed. Of course, we all know that the Hulk eventually goes back to gray. So, he is kind of explaining to her. And actually, they turned him gray not too long after this. That may have been up the plan, but again, John Byrne ended up leaving. So, I think Al Milgrom wrote those Hulks before Peter David took over. So he is mentioning, kind of always a recap about Doc Samson separating them, and how the Hulk must be destroyed. I also love these big round glasses that they gave Bruce. Betty tells him that he sounds just like her dad. He says, "Do I?" As in he didn't recognize it. And of course, Ross throughout threw away his career just pursuing the Hulk over and over and over again. So so Bruce wonders if he's coming to give her the answer for the proposal, and she says she hasn't. She has to think about it more. But she came to show him a video that was recorded a little bit ago, and so it's kind of the newscast of that Hulk fight that was going on, and Banner, of course, is not happy, yelling "the fool." So, and here we go. As Samsung is going to go, and of course, same as before, with Byrne doing the main drawing, and then this Keith Williams doing just the background inks. So allowing him. So Byrne, every time you see a figure, it's John Byrne, and then most of the time, anything in the background would be Williams. So here we go again, as Doc Samson goes and attacks the Hulk. I truly do like John Byrne. Um, there's just he's such a craftsman. Definitely knows how to build scenes. So I don't know. So it turns out that he's a robot. So um, I don't know where you would rank um, the John Byrne in your list of greatest of all time, but to me, he's not number one, but he's in the top 10. To me, it's Jim Lee as the best penciler of all time, and just because of his dynamics. But um, anyway, so this was a training robot that he ended up destroying. Samson asks who, and of course it's the new Hulkbusters, and so they're going to now use Samson as their training. So because Samson, of course, is strong and he's able to defend, but he's not as strong as the Hulk. So and he's able to toss them. So yeah, John Byrne's very good at constructing images. Walter Simonson is my second favorite. I'm very love Simonson. I've been covering his Thor run from the beginning, so check that out um, if you haven't seen him. I've also been covering his run in Orion, so give that also a check if you'd like. So I have about 150 videos as of this recording, but who knows? I don't I don't upload daily, but I upload at least 3 to 5 times a week. So some weeks it'll be three. So Samson here is gonna go save this guy here, and so it just kind of depends how busy I am. And then on weekends, particularly now that it's football season. So it looks like it was Carolyn who Sam here has feelings for. And so it looks like she has died in the blast. So he wants to go after her, but Samson stops her. Um, so um, Samson now is on Samuel's radar. So he pushes him away and leaves. And so he Says he's got more important things to do. He's got to find the real Hulk. And so he is going to, like I said, he swears here that he's going to make him pay for the loss of Carolyn, which it's really Samuel's fault. They're the ones that decided to do the whole thing. So the Betty was just finishing up a workout when Professor Tanaka came in to practice her martial arts. So Betty basically talks with Takada and confides in her about, being conflicted about Bruce Banner's proposal, but Takada ultimately tells her to follow her heart. And so Betty goes in to talk to Bruce, and she says yes. So we're almost done. Unfortunately, like I said, it's not a very long run. So this is the last issue of Incredible Hulk for the John Byrne run. It was a short 6 issues, and this is issue 6. So we have the Incredible Hulk 319. Now, he does do one more thing with the Hulk after this, which I will be including in this video. So here's a great cover, and we have a mysterious figure here interrupting the wedding of Bruce and Betty. And there's Rick Jones here and Professor, I forgot her name, but anyway. So this issue is going to have 2 stories being told at the same time. So it's got, the top part will be like one part of the story, and the bottom part will be another part of the story. So the panels will be divided here. So we have at the top the Hulkbusters, and here at the bottom we have Rick Jones coming for the wedding. So, and then it's gonna flip flop. So then the bottom goes, so it's just, I'll do my best here to kind of see it, but here's Rick Jones coming to the wedding, and then the Hulkbusters fighting the Hulk. And so then back, so it'll flip flop each part here. So trying to get the Hulk here, but it's not working. And then Bruce introduces Betty to Rick. He's coming because he's gonna be one in part of their wedding, because he's been there from the very beginning, and still blames himself for Bruce becoming the Hulk. And of course, Bruce went to save Rick, and then pushed Rick into a ditch, and he ended up with the full blast of the gamma bomb. And then back here, as they continue fighting the Hulk, who is basically undefeatable, but they're still gonna try. So can't shake him off. So, and then he can't shoot him because he can't get a clear shot. And then we sort of are getting an origin of what Rick Jones has sort of been up to throughout this whole time. So feel free to look into the Marvel database / wiki site, fan site, to kind of get more plot, because I'm sure that I'm missing a lot. But this video is already super long, so anyway, Bruce Banner basically forgives him and says, nobody's perfect. So, and the wedding's going on. And so back here, um, so inside this combat suit is Saunders. So he's the one that's been in here. Um, of course, still blaming for the death of Carolyn. And so, and here's Larroquette. And now Samson has arrived. And Bruce and Rick are getting ready for the wedding. And so, kind of the love story between Bruce and Betty here. Like I said, feel free to check out. It's, um, it's a lot of origin and kind of catching everybody up to. Very old fashioned dress, even for the 80s. It's very old fashioned. So I think it was his mother's or her mother's wedding dress, and I want to know, oh, grandmother, and I want to know who the heck carries that with them into the base. It's not like she was there. She. I don't know, but hey. So Samson and the Hulk are now fighting. Great punch. Great reaction. Hits them, knocks them down. So he's asking about Thunderbolt Ross, Betty's dad, that he's apparently dead, and Bruce says we don't know that he was involved with MODOK, and now they don't know where he is, and so the dad's been uh, he's vanished, and so um, Professor Takada, I believe here, says that the minister is there, and so off they go. Rick basically tells him, Bruce is a little worried, but Rick tells him, hey, you know, love conquers all kind of thing, and so here we go again. Now they're fighting. Still here, great. You got to have action in these comic books. I love it's a very neat idea how you just broke them up into halves, and so each side is equal. So John Byrne is quite the master storyteller, and this was at the height of his superpowers, as I like to say. And so a lot of reading, a lot of talking, but essentially, he's Bruce is a scientist, and he looks at love the same way that a scientist perhaps would. So anyway, off they go. I love the use of all black. I like that. And so they're attacking Samson now because remember, he's blamed for the death of Carolyn. And so, but, because he's distracted with Samson, he doesn't see the Hulk. So here comes the minister, says the stuff I do here. So, and I do, and then suddenly someone comes up and holding a gun at them, stopping the wedding after, of course, the minister asks, is there anybody here who says these two should not be married? So here comes the Hulk. So they basically said, Samson, you gotta do something, and he's like, what? Why do I have to help? They try to kill me. So Saunders basically says, you're a superhero, this is what you people do. And so Samson's going to go help Larroquette. And here we have General Ross, who is basically does not want his daughter to be involved with with Bruce Banner. So basically, he says he won't let his only child make this horrible mistake, and Rick is gonna stop him, but he ends up shooting Rick. Says he was more trouble than his worth. His daughter screams at him and then insults her dad. Says, "How dare you speak to me like that? I'm your dad." And the battle between Samson and Hulk. Good action, good technique. So this issue has everything. So Betty basically tells him he's a worthless dad, he's a tyrant, this and that, and just continues to go after her dad while Bruce is going to try and help Rick. And so he says, you know, everything you put me through, this is all your fault. If you're going to kill someone, kill me, and puts his gun into her heart and says, all right, pull the trigger. And then these two continue fighting. It's very cool how he probably had this all laid out. So, and then he is, he basically is dismantled. So, and Bruce says, wow, that was awesome. And she says, a tired, foolish man, I crushed him as he tried to crush me so many times. Quite a triumph as she takes the clip out of the gun. So, they're going to take Rick to the hospital. He says, nope, don't stop the ceremony. And go ahead and get married. And then they can take him to the hospital afterwards. So he says, go ahead. So here the Hulk, after everything, he just leaves. And so they wonder about Samson. And he asks where Samson is. And then Samson comes through. Tells him that, you know, he had to save him. But he tells him one more time the Hulk is his. And that they need to quit coming after him. And then here, the two basically get married, pronounced man and wife, and he may kiss the bride. And we end with this awesome splash page here and our credits. So John Byrne, as always, did the figure inks, and then Keith Williams did the background. So here is John Byrne's very last issue of Hulk. Now, he does not continue it in Hulk. It is Marvel Fanfare number 29 from 1986. This was the last work that he did for Marvel until he returned after doing Superman. So he leaves Marvel to go do Superman after this. And this is all done in splash page. And I was going to make it smaller, but I decided it looks really good big. So we'll just kind of go with it. So this person's been waiting here for 3 days. Just kind of been sitting there. And he's been waiting for the Hulk for some reason. Love how big. I really do believe that this was a very good decision to do this in splash page. Love the fact also here, real quick, I'm going to go down and then go back up here. So I do enjoy the fact that he's at an angle here. So he just looks so big and so, I like the fact, like I said, that he's at the angle. And Hulk is about to smash this poor dude. Just sitting there smoking. And he says he's a friend. I really, like I said, very John Byrne is such a good storyteller. So I like the nose. I think this influenced McFarlane. This is before McFarlane, of course, took over. So he starts lowering his arm. Guy keeps saying friend. He asks the Hulk to sit, and so the Hulk does. And then does some kind of ceremony or with the smoke there, and the Hulk will breathe it in. And you can see that this the gentleman here is not who he is. Um, in the description below, I do have, like I said, links to these stories so you can kind of see uh, if you have questions. He's kind of remembering some stuff, but remember, he doesn't have the Bruce Banner because they've been separated. And so this was all a setup. And he's about to be attacked by these two. And they grab him from behind. And of course, it was Hammer and Anvil. This is Hammer and this is Anvil. And they were led here and told that they would be able to take on the Hulk. But the Hulk, of course, like always, he wants to be left alone. And he fights back. Which surprises them because he's supposed to be brainless and sedated. And of course, Hammer tells Anvil that even a bug will fight for life. So, and suddenly, Hulk's about to do something, but boom, this dude gets shot in the face. And Anvil just yells for Hammer. And he says he can't be dead. The aliens gave him their power. They're like one. So the problem is that if one dies, the other one dies too. Hulk sort of walks away. You see this justice is served. And you see that the native wasn't who he was supposed to be. You can see here, there's the mask. You can see Hulk grabbing the mask saying, friend. Thus, we end John Byrne's brief run. 6 issues in the Hulk, and then this kind of finale. Now, who this is, I'll just kind of tell you. It's Scourge. And this story is... they did a thing where he just started killing these low-level villains here and there, and I believe this will all go into Captain America. So I think Captain America is who this will end. But anyway, I sure hope you enjoyed John Byrne's short run in Hulk. He is not very many people associate John Byrne with the Hulk, so I just thought it'd be pretty cool to go through it. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.